really interested in is how they interact with other things. And so when we go to Yellowstone, we're going to talk about, or we're going to look at grass that interacts with the geology and then other plants that have interactions with other environmental factors. And so, but to start that all off, we have to know what we're looking at. Does that make sense? I mean, we have to know what plant we're talking about. Okay. So what helps us identify different plants? How do you identify a plant? What are you looking at? What do you think?
How it grows and like what, and obviously what it looks like.
Oh, okay, but I need some more specifics. What do you mean when you say what it looks like?
Like the shape that it has.
Okay, yes, true. Okay, so shape of the plant, leaves, flowers. Okay, that's perfect. Okay, what else? Both of you. First you.
Fruit.
Yeah, fruit. Okay, so fruit. Okay, what else?
Probably like the color, if it's like a healthy.
Okay, yeah, perfect. Okay, so color. Okay, what else? Yes.
Just basically the general characteristics of the plant in question.
Yeah, so we're looking for for characteristics that they have, right? And we can say, oh, this one has really narrow leaves, and this one has very wide leaves, and this one that we don't know what it is has narrow leaves. So it's probably more like this other one. Does that make sense? Yes.
What plants it thrives next to?
Yeah, so what neighbors it's got. That's true for sure. So I'm looking at your journals, and I'm thinking about plants, and I'm thinking back to the Lewis and Clark expedition, right? When the Lewis and Clark expedition came west, what was one of their huge mandates from the president? Yes?
They were to map the land and to kind of catalog the life there.
Yeah, catalog the life. And so how would they do that when we're talking plants? What do you think?
They would try and they would try and determine what plant it was based off of those things on the board.
I think they whipped out their iPhone and took a picture of it.
Yeah, so were they taking pictures of them? What were they doing? Yeah, so they're doing exactly what you all are going to be doing. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go outside. I've got some plants that I need you to draw, and when I say draw, what are we drawing? Okay, this is what I want you to draw. I want you to draw the plant. I want you to draw leaves. I want you to draw flowers. I want you to draw fruit. Okay. And Mrs. Barton has a whole bunch of colored pencils. I want everything done in color, and I want it done. Do you think? I think it was Meriwether Lewis that did all the drawing, wasn't it? Okay. When Meriwether Lewis was doing all these drawings of all these cool plants that nobody had seen, okay, was he drawing this? Did it look like this? Was that what he drew?
No.
And then he was like, that's awesome, right? And he gets back and the president's like, man, you are an artist. Is that good enough?
Yeah.
No, that's not good enough, okay? So if you get done drawing this plant in 5 minutes, then you've not drawn enough detail. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's what we're doing. We're going to go outside, we're going to look at these plants, and we're going to document exactly what they are so that you can take your book home and show it to your mom or your dad or a sibling, and you could say, what plant is that? And they could say, oh, that is a whatever. Does that make sense? They should be able to recognize it from your drawing. Does that make sense? Was there a question? Yes, Mrs. Barton.
So in doing this, I'm looking at the size of your pages, the half a page, right? When you're drawing, what do you think size-wise? How could we show the most detail?
Yeah, so I would say as far as if you had unlimited space, I would say have a half a page or whatever for leaves, and a half a page for a flower, and a half a page for a fruit. Does that make sense?
Fill up your pages, draw them big.
Yeah,
You can add lots of detail.
Right.
The other thing, I've actually looked at their journals a lot because I used to teach fourth grade with the Lewis and Clark expedition. And they didn't just draw pictures. Have any of you looked at their journals? What else did they put in there besides images? What do you remember? What?
Words describing it.
Yeah, these leaves are bumpy or they have jagged edges and it's rough to the touch. And they wrote describing words to help remind themselves.
Perfect. So that's what we're doing today. We are reliving Meriwether Lewis's experience with one plant species. Is that all right? Okay. We go to Yellowstone. We'll be able to identify plants based on these characteristics that we're practicing on today. With plants that you don't know the identity of, I would avoid the taste sense. Because some of them you can taste once and only once. The poisonous ones, right? So don't use your sense of touch. I mean your sense of taste, but use all your others.
Can you put that like in my seat? But I can't see any.
Good. Oh, that's good. Tracing it. That's good. And what about and what are we defining as a leaf? I mean, can everybody see that there's like 3 leaves in like little groups? Everybody see that? So is each one of the 3 things a leaf? Or are all 3 of them a leaf and just with 3 parts to the leaf? Does that make sense? So you should be drawing that and then maybe go and do some research on whether this unknown plant that we're working with has leaflets or if those are actually all leaves. That's also a characteristic that we're interested in. Some plants have what are called rhizomes, which are underground stems that help them propagate, and so these don't. But if you had them, they would be really thick-looking roots. Strawberries have what are called stolons. Does anybody know what a stolon is? They're like have y'all seen the strawberry runners where like a little stem will go out and there'll be a little flower a little plant on the end and then that makes roots? That's a stolon, and I didn't see any of those.
Stolen? Is it like
No, STOLON.
Okay.
Not like you stole it. Make the veins of the leaves a darker green. That's also a good characteristic to identify. So use your colored pencils to help identify what you're looking at as far as veins and different shades of green. Something you would have to draw, but at least in your description, in your characteristics, you should note that you can see little hairs on the stems. And actually, they're not even stems. That's actually just a petiole. That's part of the leaf.
Wait, so like the.
What?
How do you spell petiole?
Petiole.
Thank you.
That makes sense? Plants have been in the greenhouse, so they're fairly hardy as far as you can plant them outside. But do you think they're gonna like going from a nice warm greenhouse to snowy Rexburg immediately? No. So you've got to acclimate them. So if you want to plant them outside, that's great. But what you need to do is put them outside for 2 or 3 hours and then bring them inside for the night. Does that make sense? And then get them used to living outside, and then you can plant them out in your yard or garden in a couple of weeks. So, but while if you didn't get a chance to finish drawing, then you can take them home and finish up your drawing. What did you all think? How difficult was it to accurately depict what you were seeing on paper?
Hard. I have a question.
It's definitely a skill that you have to develop, right? So when you see diagrams that Meriwether Lewis drew he was really practiced at it. And so, and the other thing I wanted to mention was, how long did you have to observe the plant to get a good diagram? Does that make sense? Was it just like, oh, a snap picture and I can draw it? Or did you have to sit there and look at it for a while?
Look at it.
Yeah, you got to look at it for a while.
Snapshot.
So when you're out in nature observing things, slow down, look at things, sit down for a while, and that's going to be your best bet as far as getting an accurate description of what you're looking at. Does that make sense?
Yeah.